Okay, I am very upset with all of you. In fact, no, let me do this right. I'm not even angry. I'm just disappointed. Hey there, welcome to Aphrodaddy. These are going to come off now because they really don't suit me. So, firstly, welcome to my very impromptu Corona office. If it sounds a bit echoey, it's because I haven't finished putting all the sound treatment stuff in, and I'm not sure if I ever will, but it's good for me to get away from the kids when I'm trying to do work or trying to make Aphrodaddy content. But I do have a plant, so, I'm almost like a real worker now. So for the past few weeks and almost more than a month now, there's been quite an uproar over The Social Dilemma. It's a documentary, and I use these inverted commas on purpose, a documentary on Netflix about how social networks are messing with our lives and controlling us. And I've got to be honest, the actual documentary itself didn't upset me. It's not great, but it didn't upset me. What really upset me was the response from people who I respect, like a lot of my followers. So all of a sudden I saw people going like, I'm going to be leaving Instagram for a while. I'm going to be unfollowing all these people. I'm going to be trying to not let the algorithm affect my life. I don't want to be controlled like this. The social dilemma is really scary. It's amazing how these people are controlling our lives. And I was really frustrated by all of that because I wanted to take a megaphone and drive through the streets of my city and South Africa and the world just shouting, duh, duh, duh. What did you think they were doing? So before I get into the weeds of this, I need to tell you that Brent Lenteke on Facebook made a fantastic post about all of the same thoughts that I have about the social dilemma and more importantly, our response to it. So if you're more of a reader than a watcher, go and read his Facebook post. I'll put a link to it in the description. So the reason why I wanted to shout duh at the top of my lungs is the fact that we have been saying this kind of thing for almost a decade. Since social media actually kind of started, and in fact since any kind of interactive internet web 2.0 stuff kind of started, we've known that these corporations and these companies use all sorts of tactics to keep us online for as long as possible. But more importantly than that, it's not something that's just started when the internet came around, right? It's not just a Facebook thing or a Reddit thing or a Twitter thing that they're using these tactics to keep us online for as long as possible. Since the creation of any media, they've used these tactics to keep us engaged. About 2 months ago, we started doing these live streams talking about inclusion and diversity in the social media and blogging space. And a big thing that came out of that was the idea that your attention is your currency. The idea that what all of these companies want is your attention, and they will do whatever it takes to keep your attention on them and on their product for as long as possible. And again, that's not just an internet thing. I worked in radio for over a decade, and everything that radio does is to keep you listening to the radio station for when the ads play. Why do you think you get to listen to music for free? It's not because the radio station likes you or cares about you. You are not the radio station's client, especially commercial radio stations. Their client are the advertisers. So they're going to make sure that they play whatever music they think will keep you there when you're in your car, when you're at home, so that when the ads play, you don't turn over. That's the game. That's the game for pretty much all media. The point is, just like Brent said in his Facebook post, this is nothing new. The Social Dilemma did not reveal any new information or show us anything different from what we have known for years. So what I'm seeing online does frustrate me when I'm seeing people go, oh my goodness, I didn't realize how terrible social media was. Where have you been? What kind of adult are you that you're using this thing and you have no idea how it functions? It's a lot like using electricity. You don't have to know exactly how it works, but you have to know that if you don't use it correctly, it's dangerous. You wouldn't just use electricity and have wires all over the place because you know that it's a dangerous thing because you get told that. So since so many people don't seem to fully understand how social media and the internet actually works, I'm going to do a bit of a PSA. Because every year I give a talk to over 100 high school students about how to survive and thrive on social media. And I give it to them because I realize that these are kids who have grown up in a world where social media has kind of always existed, and it might be something that they take for granted. So someone needs to tell them exactly how it works, what's going on in the background, and how they can protect themselves and actually thrive on social media. I don't generally give these talks to adults because I assume that adults would know this already, but I was obviously wrong. So here's a couple of things that I tell those high school kids, which hopefully you can tell your children or tell your friends or tell yourself if you didn't realize these things. The first thing I tell those high school kids is that social media is like nuclear power. It can do amazing things and can be very good for humanity, but in the wrong hands, and if it's handled incorrectly, it can be incredibly dangerous. So you have to make sure that you are someone that's using it correctly and that the people that you're engaging with are also not the wrong kind of people. And for me, the wrong kind of people includes those people who share bad information, who don't actively make sure that what they're sharing is correct and true, and who spread disinformation. They might not be doing it on purpose, but they're still bad players. It's like having someone who doesn't know that uranium is radioactive, bringing it into your house and saying, hey, look at this cool glowy thing that I have. This can't hurt us, right? The second thing I tell those high school kids is that privacy does not exist on the internet. You can maybe make yourself slightly less exposed by having stronger blocks on your Facebook account or your Instagram account, or how much you actually reveal of yourself, and even not having these accounts at all. But it is pretty much impossible in this day and age to be an active member of society without having some of your information available online. That really shocks them, and I think it might shock a lot of you too. They don't seem to realize that if they send a WhatsApp image from themselves to a friend, it doesn't go directly from their phone to their friend's phone. It goes from their phone to Facebook's server somewhere in the world, and then from that server, it gets sent to the phone. So the idea that even if you delete something, it might still exist on the internet and it might still be accessible to other people who might not have the best intentions scares the heck out of them, which is why I tell them you need to think before you post. So that's number 3. That's the third thing I tell them, is that you need to think twice before you tweet, before you send a message, before you send an email, before you post on Facebook or on Instagram. You have to ask yourself, will I be embarrassed by this in 5 years' time? Or if my future employer sees this, would that make sure that I don't get a job? Or if my parents see this, or if my children see this in 10 years' time, if this resurfaces in the distant future, not the distant future, not even so far, in 5 years' time, 10 years' time, would this be detrimental to me or to someone else? And that means you got to be a little bit slow with that send button. My suggestion to them always was, if you're not sure, delete the message and rewrite it. And if you're still not sure after the second rewriting, just don't send it. If you're not sure about something, it's always safer not to send it or not to post it. One of the real centerpieces of the talk that really surprises them and shocks them a lot of the time is I get all of them to stand up, and I basically say, if you spend less than an hour on social media a day, that's WhatsApp, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any sort of thing on YouTube, basically time spent on the internet, if that's less than an hour a day, sit down. Some of them will sit down. And I go through that going 1 hour, 2 hours, less than 3 hours, less than 4 hours. And more often than not, over the past few years, I'll be getting to the 5-6 hour mark, and still more than half of those kids are standing up. And that leads me to the next thing I tell them. When you're on social media and when you're on the internet browsing, doing other stuff, that comes at a cost, because there are things that you could be doing with your time that you're not doing because you're spending it on social media. Now, I love social media and I love all the things that come with it, and I love browsing. I love doing all of the social media stuff. I have a career based on working on social media, but you have to keep in mind, what else could I be doing right now? What am I missing out on by being on social media? And I end off by saying, remember, your attention is the currency that these social media platforms are trying to gain. Your attention is the thing that has made Facebook as big as it is. It has made Google as big as it is, and Twitter as big as it is. It is your attention. There's a reason that it's free. You're getting it because you are not the client. You are the product. The advertisers are the clients. But again, I want to reiterate that is nothing new. That's the way newspapers and TV and radio has worked for decades. So yeah, I'm disappointed at the response to the social dilemma, because I thought we were smarter than this. I thought we were more educated and more aware of what is going on around us than our response has shown. And that's a really scary thing for me, is that we have these adults who are using these tools of social media without knowing what they're really used for, how they work, why they're free, and what damage can be done with them. So look, I think unfortunately the best way to end this video is with a warning. And the warning is this: if you were shocked by the social dilemma, then there is a big, scary world out there that is trying to control you, and it will do so. And the only way that they are not going to be able to control you is if you actively gain knowledge about how these things work. Remember, these social media platforms aren't trying to control you for some nefarious, dark, secret conspiracy. It's very obvious what they're trying to do. They're trying to sell you stuff. They're trying to sell you products. They're trying to tell their clients, the advertisers, that, hey, Terrence is online for 9 hours a day and he will accept anything we throw at him. That is what they're trying to do, and they're very blatant about it. So look, I've taken that talk that I give to the high school students and I've compressed it into like something that's workable on an Aphrodite video. But do you guys want to hear the full talk? Do you maybe want to get some more information about how to talk to high school kids about being safe on the internet and how to think about social media? Should I do a live Facebook video about it? Should I make a longer video about social medias and surviving and thriving on it? I've been thinking about whether or not I should. There are many good options out there that you can go and read. Definitely read Brent's post. I'm going to put the link below. And yeah, give me that feedback. Do you want to hear more about how you can help yourself and help your kids survive and thrive on social media? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this episode. We can all do better. Get some knowledge. Aphrodite out.